Good morning, USA, and good evening, India. Today, we are here to discuss on the emerging topic combating human trafficking. I am representing Eyes Open International, a NGO that combats human trafficking through grassroots level. Today, our topic will be focused on combating human trafficking from India to USA and also the challenges what US is facing among human trafficking. So, not wasting much time here, I would like to introduce our guest for today. Our first guest for today is Honorable Mo. He is the Assistant Special Agent of the Homeland Security Department in the USA. And joining him is Honorable Dennis. She is the Public Officer of the US Immigration and Homeland Security also. Our next guest will be Harold D'Souza. He is the President for the Eyes Open International and he will be joining us within 5 to 10 minutes as he is facing some technical issues. So, if you are thinking about what Homeland Security is, then don't think much. We will direct this question directly to our special agent, Honorable Mo. So, sir, can you tell us or can you brief our audience about the role of Homeland Security in the USA and share some insights into the responsibilities, your responsibilities in combating human trafficking?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning. So thank you very much, Mr. Raval, for having us today. My name is Moisses Gonzalez. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for Homeland Security Investigations. We are the primary investigative branch for the Department of Homeland Security in the United States of America. Under our many investigative authorities, we do cover, and our primary programmatic area is to be responsible for investigating the heinous crime of human trafficking. Now, for HSI, not only is it one of our authorities to be able to investigate, but it's also been designated a priority, not only by our secretary, Mr. Alejandro Mayorkas, but it's also been designated a priority by the President of the United States and in combating this most heinous crime. So, what is a brief overview of the role of Homeland Security investigations and responsibilities of human trafficking? So, our primary role in human trafficking and combating human trafficking is identifying cases of human trafficking. So, HSI investigates and enforces all the laws related to human trafficking, including both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Now, before I go into some of the primary responsibilities, I really want to define what is human trafficking. I want to make sure that everybody in our public understands what human trafficking is. So it comes in many forms. It's very prevalent and more. It's very prevalent and it's more prevalent than most people realize. I want to give a simple. I'll start off with a simple definition and to identify it. Human trafficking is modern day slavery.
Yes.
So modern day slavery, and there's no other way to explain it. Modern day slavery. I really want our viewers to understand that this crime is a defined illicit activity, and there's an estimated global profit involving this crime of $150 billion a year. So that is the primary motivation for these criminal networks to engage in human trafficking. So human trafficking exploits a person for the purpose of compelling labor or commercial acts. In other words, people are controlled, and we refer to it as modern day slavery, and are exploited for the purpose of producing income for a criminal or for a criminal organization. And this can range anywhere from sex trafficking, from escort services, sexual servitude, labor trafficking, which occurs across any and all industries.
Yes.
We don't limit this to any level of education or any particular industry. It can happen anywhere in any industry in any country. And that's to understand the magnitude of human trafficking. So our responsibilities are to investigate and enforce all those laws, investigate, enforce, and cooperate those laws and investigations internationally, with ultimately identifying these networks to bring people to justice, bring organizations to justice, and to dismantle these transnational criminal organizations. Our responsibility is also to identify victims and make sure that they receive the services that they need. We have a victim-centered approach, which concentrates on justice for the victim, but never at the cost and the prosecution of criminals, but never at the cost of the victim. So our approach is very victim centered. We develop partnerships and collaborations. Our investigative team and our agency develops partnerships and collaborations with nonprofit organizations, like the excellent nonprofit organization that we're sharing the stage with today. And we collaborate and we exchange information, intelligence, with again the ultimate goal of identifying these criminal organizations and dismantling. We also conduct a lot of training and outreach because one of the primary concerns here is to educate the public, to actively educate and identify and continuously educate because these criminal networks update and they change consistently. We, mu- we must we must make sure that our continuous outreach and training goes out to other agencies, goes out to our state and local agencies, goes out to our international law enforcement agencies, and both our international and national nonprofit organizations. We conduct cybercrime investigations. Uh, Today's nature of criminal activity relies heavily on online exploitation.
Yes.
So that is a primary a goal and an area where we concentrate on is again identifying these avenues in online and a cyber world. And finally, one of the most important topics where Homeland Security investigations is involved also is we continue to contribute to the development of policies because policies need to be updated as new forms of techniques, of new forms of changing and the transportation of money come up in the criminal enterprises. Before, there was no other option than to use cash. Now we have all kinds of digital currency, right? We have Bitcoin, we have all kinds of money that can be moved virtually. And so we have to continue to develop policies, identify these new forms, and work with here, at least in the United States, and with our international partners, to develop policies to identify these new trends. So again, I'll just to summarize. So our investigative branch for HSI is investigation and enforcement, our victim assistance, which is one of our primary goals because we must concentrate and make sure that our victims are safe, okay, and that they receive justice as best as we can. Our partnership and collaborations, our training and outreach, our cybercrime investigations, and then our policy development.
Great, sir. Sir, as you talk about technology and cyber trafficking, sir, we have seen that after the COVID, people are recruiting more from the online, and also there's another web that's a dark web where people are being sold, organs are being sold. So, sir, is there any specific agenda for Homeland Security to go on the dark web and catch those traffickers? There are brides
Absolutely.
on sales also.
Absolutely. So we have dedicated teams and specialists, and we refer to them as subject matter experts in the cybercrime investigations. And they're there to identify, of course, today we're talking about human trafficking, but we're there to identify a variety of criminal enterprises. You mentioned, organ trafficking, there's narcotics trafficking, human trafficking. So absolutely. So that's one of the areas that we continue to evolve, that we consistently monitor, and we continue to train and dedicate resources, and we collaborate with our international partners on specifically cybercrime dark web areas, because that is one of the new fronts for criminal activity.
Great to hear that, sir. Good morning, Harold, sir.
Good morning, Riday, and happy morning, Mo. Thank you for joining early morning from
Good morning,
California.
Mr. Harold. Pleasure to be here with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I had some technological glitch.
So, Harold, sir, can you let us know that what EUI is exactly doing, and will you focus on your expertise and your working areas, especially for trafficking from India to USA?
Yeah, so Eyes Open International is focused on prevention, education, protection, and empowerment of victims, survivors, vulnerable populations, and community members worldwide. And the classic living example is of today. Like, I'm very happy and blessed that Mo has joined us today with the Homeland Security. So, Eyes Open International believes in collaboration. And many times I have witnessed that victims or survivors are scared of Homeland Security. Like, example, like Mo, like, he's a nice man. I know him. He's a very humble, honest, good human being. But psychologically, in reality, victims and survivors are super scared or fearing the law enforcement agency, especially Homeland Security. That's a psychological fear. Even I had it,
Yes.
like 20 years back. And that's the reason we believe in collaboration to tell the victims and survivors, law enforcement agencies are good human beings, good people, they got a good heart. They're here to help, empower, enlighten the victims, and they are here to prosecute the perpetrators. And maybe down the road, I would like more to share something that how they prosecute perpetrators, because there are a lot of audience more watching from Asian countries, and they are been misguided, and they've been misguided here again in the US by the perpetrators, that that Homeland Security or the law enforcement agencies are behind the immigrants, that they will get them arrested, handcuffed, jailed, and deported, and they're all nicknamed as illegal. And I think if you could shine some light on that, Mo and Hriday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to tell our audience that we recently got a news that Gujarat is the west part of India, where many Gujaratis are being trafficked or they are also migrating illegally to USA. So there are many consultancies over here in Gujarat, and recently I got a news that Gujarat Cyber Crime Department and have raided 25 consultancies all over Gujarat. They have raided many consultancies, but 25 are being accused. They have seized more than 200 passports over here, and also many illegal documents like fake job certificates, fake educational certificates, and everything. So recently, I got a news update. So I would like to share with that our audience. So starting our interview again, I would like to address this question to Honorable Mo. So, sir, as you are working in the Homeland Security Department and you are after the traffickers, what main challenges are you facing in catching those traffickers and getting the victims to justice?
So I guess one of our main challenges is again developing that trust with potential victims and the challenges of educating the general public. Again, human trafficking and the nature of human trafficking, which focuses on sexual servitude or forced labor, are areas when we usually encounter victims and they come from a different country. There's the intimidation factor from those traffickers or from those organizations that the victims or the victims are consistently programmed to fear law enforcement. So those are some of our challenges: is the education and really connecting with the public and, and making them understand what role we play, law enforcement in general, as well as Homeland Security investigations, and establishing that level of trust. So one of the challenges is identifying and getting the victims to make that initial outcry. So that is a huge a challenge that's presented for us. But that's when we develop those collaborations and partnerships with organizations with Mr. Harold. They give us that validation because they're in our communities, they're part of our communities, they're community organizations, and they give us that validation and help us earn that trust with potential victims. So it just to sum it up, one of our biggest challenges in the area of human trafficking is simply identifying those victims and then having those victims trust and make that initial outcry. And education. We want to educate victims that all those threats, all those challenges, all those misguided representations that they're going to be arrested, they're going to be deported. Again, our approach is victim centered. We're always going to concentrate on making sure that the victim is safe. And the only way that we can successfully proceed in any investigation and bring someone to justice is to make sure that our victim feels they're safe. If we can't make them feel safe, and then that's a huge part of our objective that we're not complete. And that's our primary focus. Remove them from that environment, make sure they understand they're safe, make sure they understand the rights and the resources that are available to them, and really help them see a path of a path forward, and not feel that there's going to be these all unintended consequences, or that any of those untrue threats by those criminal organizations are going to come true somehow. So primarily, it's just education and identifying your victims is some of our major challenges.
Great, sir. So, as we are talking about partnerships and collaboration, I would ask to this Honorable Harold that how does EUI has partnered with other organizations such as government organizations, corporates, medical, or law personals. So, how does these partnerships work? And also, if you can share some live example to our audience in any human trafficking case you have worked on, focusing on how you have collaborate with different agencies and how together they have solved any case.
Yeah, that's a good question, Hriday. I was in California, San Francisco, I think a month back or a couple of months back. I did a presentation with Mo. So when I met him, so we collaborate with, say, Homeland Security, FBI, NGOs, faith-based organizations. So many times victims contact us to Eyes Open International. If I'm convinced that he or she is a victim of labor trafficking, I get them connected with the law enforcement agencies in the respective state. And I just want to share with my audience that there are resources available for immigrants in labor trafficking, even if they do not have any documentations and if that has been destroyed by the perpetrator. So they're entitled for continued presence status, a U visa, a T visa, and then eventually the permanent residency card, and then the US citizenship. So we have worked with a lot of victims here in the US. We have even rescued victims from Cameroon and Burma through, again, with the help of the law enforcement agencies. Thank you.
Okay. So, sir, Harold, sir, what made you to open EUI or to dedicate your life to combat human trafficking?
That's a multi-million dollar question. Like, honestly, it took me 133 months to get my freedom. And I'm from India. It was a stigma. It was a shame. My case was with the FBI, and the FBI agent came with the very international or a popular TV channel to say that this should be in the news. And for me, it was like a stigma. It was a shame. I didn't want my story to go outside the four walls. But there were two victims with whom I worked in Ohio. They moved from one state to another and they died during the trafficking situation. And that death has gone unnoticed. And this, most of the victims, foreign nationals, they struggle with language, with culture, with education. And now I'm educated from India. And then it was like God's call telling me, Harold, you got to be the voice for the voiceless victim. So it has been a slow process. And when I started talking or being an advocate, I was quite touched that law enforcement agencies embraced me. They encouraged me. They motivated me. Like I just got clicked with more, right? The moment I met him, like I said, oh, wow. So I just want to share this. I want to bridge the gap basically from the law enforcement agencies like Mo to the victims and survivors, that these people are good. They are here to help you. They're not here to deport you. As far as you don't have any felonies, you don't have any criminal record. And what I liked what Mo just shared, that they are victim focused. See, this is very important for our audience to know that law enforcement agencies are victim focused. And I just want to share, or I would like to request Mo, if you can just cite it. I want to give an example that in case if Homeland Security raids a restaurant for some other reason, and if they find some victim there who's undocumented from maybe from Mexico, Guatemala, Asian countries, are you going to prosecute them just because they don't have
No,
documentations and they're illegal? I'll use their word because they don't understand undocumented. They just understand the word that they're illegal. What would be your action or reaction, Mo, on this? Thank you.
no, absolutely, Mr. Harold, and that's a very important question. And so, previously, I identified that victims, potential victims, need to be safe, right? They need to feel safe. So, a non-citizen, an undocumented immigrant that we come into contact with, again, our priority isn't their non-citizenship or undocumented status. our priority is the crime at hand, which would be, in the case of a trafficking victim, the actual trafficking. That's our priority. So again, if someone fears prosecution for any other reason, and I do want to be clear here, right? Any past transgressions are absolutely somewhere. It's an area that we have to be conscious, right? If we encounter somebody that has a warrant or has a history for a homicide or a murder, well, we're not gonna look past that. We have to address that issue, right? That person may be a victim, but they do have a significant criminal history. But when it comes to an immigration status, again, we have to make sure that those victims feel safe, and there are options available for them. When it comes down to that concern. But again, that is not our focus. Our focus is the criminal organization and making the victim feel safe so that they can see a path forward, regardless of the situation they may be in.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Harold, sir, can you tell our audience how trafficking is being done from India to USA?
Yeah, like many people come on, like I came on an H-1B visa. I came legally and became a victim of human labor trafficking and debt bondage. So that is one route. People come on F1 visa. There's a classic case. I think Hriday, you know, I think Mo is available, is aware of that. Like three Indians, they were labor trafficked student on F1 visa who was 20 years old. And those people are very powerful in India with political power. But I'm quite impressed that the law enforcement agency does not care about that power or about that status of the perpetrators. So people come here on B1, B2 visa, visit visa, and always tell them if you come on a visit visa, please go back. The perpetrators or the family members tell them stay back, I'll get you a status, which does not happen. And I tell them please don't do it. And how they manipulate them and how they trick them or trap them when they come on a B1, B2 visa. They say stay back, work at my motel, work at my gas station, work at my convenience stores. And once they overshoot that stay, they tell them I'll get you into a contract marriage. That contract marriage does not work. It creates debts. I met a guy in Florida. That's why he came on a visit visa. The employer made him like stay back, made him work in his motel, got him into a contract marriage. In 2009, he paid $42,000, and that contract marriage didn't work because it was pre-planned. So debt was created on this guy.
Okay.
So these are certain modules that work. So always education is very important. Always tell America is a good country, but coming illegally, like many people come through visit visa or to Canada, and from Canada they try to sneak in. That's the reason I'm trying to do this call with Mo, that it's not worth it. And I think we got like live examples. Hriday, I don't know if you're going to share. One family died this year,
Yes.
and they paid $100,000 to come to the
Yes.
US.
Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, so I always believe that it's better to be safe than sorry. America is a good country. Come legally, happily, and go back. Don't break the rules and laws. It's not worth it, and risking your family and kids' life. Thank you.
And
And
now,
I'd
I
like
would,
to I'd like to add to that, okay, if it's okay, Mr. Raval, and what Mr. D'Souza said,
Yes.
and he's absolutely correct. And I'll start off with just some simple ways to identify concerns if you're looking to come to the United States as an immigrant or as on a work visa or whatever may be the case. Some basic things. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not true, right? And there's a very formal process involved when somebody comes to the United States, whether in whatever status you want to come, especially Mr. D'Souza referred on to work visas. It's a very formal process. It's a documented process, and it's a transparent process. You should have knowledge of the process before you engage it. You have every right as a potential immigrant to the country in whatever status to have transparency. There has to be records, and lots of those records, especially now with the digital age, can be accessed via the internet. And you can actively access via the internet your status. You have an issue number. it documents the dates and the status of the process of whichever process you decide to engage in. So if there is an organization, a company that's doing things and you're not sure, they don't give you the information, they're hiding things. Those are, first indicators something is not right here. Every time I ask a question, I don't get an answer, or I'm told to be quiet. I'm told to wait. The way you're treated, all of those things are red flags and indicators for people to be careful with. And when you come through a process, and you come, especially in our labor trafficking, which is about 80% of the human trafficking, you're coming here to earn wages. You're coming here to perform a function. So you're coming. So all of that's documented. Should be documented when it is not in an illegal form. When human traffickers are not involved, right? And you have every right to ask questions, and every answer and every concern that you have should have a response. And if you're not getting that, then those are red flags. Start to be careful, start to ask questions, and stop. Right? Stop. Before you leave your country, stop before you entrust your documents, and look for things. Someone wants your documents, they don't want to give them back. No one should take any type of identification and documents from you. No one should ask for an incredible amount of money up front from you. No one should limit your availability to communicate. No one should denigrate or humiliate you. Those are all indicators of something is wrong. And that's when we go back to the education of the public, educating them to these warning signs, and educating them to make that outcry, either locally or wherever they're at, or even here in the United States. Reach out to law enforcement, make that outcry. We're here to help.
Mo, this is very, very, I don't know. You hit it on the nail. This is very transformation for a lot of victims and community members worldwide, because what you shared is very, very powerful, is very human and very real. Like you're talking about reality, but many people think the other way around. Like I always want to share that I am an ambassador for the United Nations, and Article 4 says no slavery. Article 5 says no torture. And whatever you shared is there in the 30 human rights
Absolutely.
articles of the United Nations. So, but I just want to end on one note, Hriday and Mo, and to my audience, that I always share that if you or anyone you suspect is a victim of labor exploitation, sexual abuse, or LGBTQ harassment in the United States of America, please save it on your cell phone. The National Human Trafficking Hotline number, that's 1-888, yes, 3737-888, and maybe I think Mo might share their hotline number. So that's what I just wanted to share. Thank you very much, Hriday and Mo.
Thank you, sir. So my next question to Mo sir is, as we discussed about the collaborations and partnerships, and we seen a good side to it, that how everyone is working together, all agencies, and combating human trafficking. But there's also this side that if there are many agencies involved, then every agency has its own way of working. So sir, are there any negative sides, or are you facing any challenges in this collaboration or partnerships while combating human trafficking?
There's always going to be challenges and collaborations. We're very cognizant and respectful of other countries' laws and traditions, but at the same time, we like to be in the forefront. And some of the challenges for some countries is the availability of resources, and that's just a reality, right? We have to accept that the level of resources and dedication of those resources to human trafficking or any other crime are more prevalent. So that's some of the challenges. Is we have to recognize with other countries that they just don't have the availability of resources. They don't have the training available also for their law enforcement and for the agencies that investigate human trafficking. So that's just some of the realities, but we work through it. We
Yes.
provide information, we provide training, we in those collaborations. We're always open to with our international partners, our national partners, our state partners, our local partners, even within the USA, with the U.S. and at an international level, to collaborate and provide that training and share resources when they're available.
Great to know this, sir. So, sir, as you told that you are also very focused on the cyber trafficking. So now before traffickers were using the traditional methods to employ or to recruit the victims. Now they are using the digital platforms. So is there any change in the strategy or approach of Homeland Security around these ages to combat human trafficking in this digital age?
Yeah, absolutely. So discussed, the criminal enterprise evolves, and we have to evolve along with it. Internet is basically the internet now, the World Wide Web, is part of everybody's daily life for the most part, especially here in the United States and at a global level. As such, we've dedicated an extreme amount of resources through training, education for investigative agents on addressing human trafficking along with a variety of crimes uh, along the internet. Right, social media is a big area for recruitment, for communicating with potential victims of human trafficking, and what we call is it's used to lure, right? The lure, the proposition for a job, for a better life, for whatever may be the lure. The digital platforms and digital media is a huge area for that to occur. So yes, we're absolutely evolving with the new strategies of these transnational criminal organizations. We continue to develop specific strategies to address child exploitation, human trafficking, a variety of different crimes. We have a very strong presence and collaboration nationally amongst investigative agencies, as well as with our international partners, on concentrating on these digital platforms and the new and innovative ways to attack and address and identify these and dismantle, prosecute these transnational criminal organizations.
Great, sir. So now turning to journalism and education, I would like to ask this question to Honorable D'Souza. So, sir, how can awareness and education play a role in preventing human trafficking? Are there any special initiatives that EU has undertaken?
Yeah, this is the one we are undertaking is right now having a
Yes.
podcast with the Homeland Security and educating the people worldwide, because this will be recorded. Because many people I'm talking say in Mexico or in Guatemala, which is very close neighboring countries, but in countries like Nepal, I work with a lot of victims from Nepal, Bangladesh, Africa, or India. They are not aware of their rights. They get, like what Mo said, they get lured into this. I'll give a classic example. One girl, last year, she called me, from Delhi, and she got invited to the US, on a hospitality industry to LA, and she contacted me, and then she was offered a job of $8,000, and she was just 23 years old. So when I came to know everything, to cut the long story short, I told her, please do not come, because the moment you land at LA, you'll become a victim of sex trafficking. $8,000 salary a month, like, I don't get it. Like, I'm just sharing with you. So people just get carried away with such offers. So education is very, very important. Like we shared about the hotline number, we have a hotline number in India, which you can share it on the screen. And there are various other factors to be aware of. So just coming, like what Mo said, coming to the US, it's like people just think that when they come to the US, they can recover, like they can just mint money. I I don't know. I just want to share. Like I do the dishwashing, I clean the restrooms. I think I was talking to some other law enforcement agencies also. So I think like Mo is a very high profile guy, But I think when it comes to work or humanity, he or she has to do all the work. Like, right, Mo? Can you share something on that? Your personal life, like, do you drive your own car or you got a driver, or do you do the chores in the house or you got some maid in the house?
So I do everything. I wear all the hats. I drive my own car. I clean my own things. Yes, the sometimes the illusion, right? It's what we're talking about. There's an illusion. There's this illusion of grandeur, and it goes back to Mr. D'Souza, which we talked about earlier. if it's too good to be true, it's probably not true, right? If there's an extreme promise of immediate wealth, you're going to make so much money. It's going to be fantastic. There's nothing out there with great reward that doesn't require great sacrifice and effort and time, right? This isn't something that's going to happen from one day to another. Oh, in 6 months we're going to pay you, $100,000, and that's part of the lure, right? We talked about the lure, the illusion, and again, this attracts everybody from young people to older people, from educated people to blue collar workers anybody can fall into this trap. So absolutely, I totally agree with you, Mr. D'Souza, on that aspect.
Thank you, Bo.
Thank you.
And I don't know,
So
Hriday, if you can take any questions. I think Dr. Lara, she was on thing and she wanted to ask some questions, but I don't know if you can do that. But continue with your interview, Hriday.
yes. So my next question is to Mo sir that sir, are there any training available for the NGOs like us so that you can train us and we can still continue our fight effectively?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked me that question. So, one of our most aggressive areas, and not just in general, which we aggressively address human trafficking, but again, we talked a little bit about the education and our partnership with our external stakeholders, our NGOs, and the importance to develop those relationships. And we understand also that NGOs are limited with resources and
Yes.
funds, etc. So how can we help? How can Homeland Security, how can the United States government help in that area? Absolutely, with training and support so that they can provide training and education to their community, right? It's a domino effect. One of our most aggressive campaigns, and I want to make sure that we put up the information in our effort to educate the public, and if we have the information that are available for the public to see, was our Center to Combat Human Trafficking, and that is a dedicated center by the Department of Homeland Security that Homeland Security Investigations has a primary responsibility of organization within the Center of Combating Human Trafficking. And that center is a multi-agency effort, multi-agency across the United States government to address and end human trafficking. Within the Human Trafficking Center, there's a website available. It's an easy search on the internet. You can just search the Department of Homeland Security countering human trafficking, or you can Google the Center for exactly, there we go. It's easier up there. There's different publication and resources. It talks specifically about the forced labor and the child human trafficking. Within our efforts, we have a strong initiative called the Blue Campaign, right? One of the primary things that we like to communicate through the Blue Campaign is a simple phrase that we use. If you see something, say something.
Say so.
Say something. A lot of people are intimidated sometimes. Oh, I don't want to call. I don't want to reach out because what if it's nothing? Are they gonna reveal my name? Am I gonna be implicated? I'm afraid because I don't want those people to know. I don't want the person to know. I don't want the organization to know that I'm the one that called. So we work and we understand these issues. We understand these concerns. We respect the when people want to be anonymous. We absolutely respect that. But if you see something, say something. The Blue Campaign is integral. Through the Blue Campaign, we offer trainings. We offer targeted trainings, right? We have trainings that are targeted for children. We have trainings that are targeted for youth. We have training that's targeted for teenagers, for young adults, for professionals. We have different types of training because everybody's in a different situation. And those trainings need to be developed and designed to be able to communicate with different demographics and age groups, nationalities, languages, and part of that Blue Campaign. There's resources for nonprofit organizations, from training material to pamphlets to training for the nonprofits on how to do outreach to the community, how
Yes.
to properly educate, all the information, phone numbers, websites where people can reach out to make outcries, or ask questions. Any question, I encourage people. I want people to understand that's our job, right? That's what
Yes.
we do. And everybody here in the United States, Department of Homeland Security investigations, that is our priority, right? The victim. So if you're either a victim or you're someone trying to help prevent this heinous crime, reach out to us, talk to us. It's okay. And if it's a mistake, and if it turns out to be nothing, fantastic, right? That's okay, good. But what if it's something? That's
Yes.
the concern. And call us. We're not going to get upset. We're not. That's what we're here for. We're here to provide that service, and that's what we want to do. And we want that opportunity to engage. And many times when we do have people who engage us and report something, and it turns out to be nothing, or an NGO makes a referral, turns out to be nothing. There's something in the aspect of developing that relationship and developing, that collaboration. So in any form of communication is going to be a success. So that's some of the support we can provide our NGOs is the training, the outreach, and the support, so that they can again validate and help us with the community. Because I want to make that very clear. Organizations like Mr. D'Souza and Eyes Open International are critical, are absolutely critical in this process. Mr. D'Souza, the relationship, me having the honor of sharing recently in a human trafficking conference the stage with Mr. D'Souza is very powerful. It's very powerful. And I feel extremely honored to have met Mr. D'Souza. The community organizations provide that validation and are a critical role. We cannot successfully do this job and help the victims without our international partners and our nonprofit organizations. So we are absolutely indebted to you. We look forward to those collaborations, and we're here to help. So ask. If you're a nonprofit, through those websites, there's ways to ask. There's phone numbers are all available on those websites, and ask. Call and say, hey, this is what I have a specific need. And if you have a specific need, ask, and hopefully we can find a way to help that organization.
That's very powerful, Mo, what you shared. And I just got a call last month from Michigan, and this happened to me during my trafficking situation. And I want your feedback. What would be your reflection or reaction? So my trafficker is to always tell me I can call the immigration department right now and get you arrested, and I used to get scared. But I got a call last month from Michigan, and he's a victim of labor trafficking. I'm trying to help him, and his owner, because he might have done something like he was not obeying, answering, or whatever. He said, "I'll get you killed. I'll get your family killed back in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, and I will call the immigration department and get you arrested." I said, "Tell him, call him. Tell him to call him, And if he does anything, I said, call me or call 911. But in case you get a call, sir, from an example, say it's an employer, and he says that so and so person illegal is working in a gas station. So would you go and arrest him? Like the person who is working in the gas station, because the perpetrator has called, but you don't know he's a perpetrator. He acts like he's a unknown person, and he says that so and so person is working illegally at a gas station or at a restaurant. What would be your reaction, sir? And what would be your action?
Again, so for us, there's a very formal process, and that's what I want people to understand. We don't and that's one of the control mechanisms we look at when human trafficking, right? Is the threat, the ever prevalent control issue, that the threats that come from traffickers either contacting authorities or using authorities as a mechanism of control, right? But here, now, and today, that's part of our education process. So whoever they call, or even if let's say they do call, right? Let's say someone and they're trying to form a point, make a point with the victim. They're trying to intimidate. That's part of our campaign now in our education process, and I can tell you it's been very successful, and it's very widely known now, even with local authorities, our state authorities, as well as other federal agencies, that when they do take these types of calls, because they do come in, to evaluate them holistically, right? Let's look at what this could possibly be. And now with the training and engagement that we've had with all our different agencies, one of the first things that comes to mind is this a potential for human trafficking? Let's look at the identification. Why is this call coming in all of a sudden? Why is there a specific person being singled out? Right? And we've seen it in many cases, not just in human trafficking, but in cases where people want to take advantage and not pay for something, a service they receive. There's an extensive amount of work, and then they want to use the authorities in order to negatively affect a non-citizen in order to avoid payment or whatever might be the case. But I want potential victims to know out there that it's now coming to be an industry standard across law enforcement through educational initiatives to identify the potential that this may be a human trafficking situation. So again, it's nonprofit organizations such as yourself that help us educate the public and build that trust to make the outcry. It's like you said, Mr. D'Souza, that's a great response. Yes, tell them to call. Go ahead. Go ahead to call. And then we need to encourage those potential victims to also call and say, I'm being threatened. This is what someone's threatening me with. This is my situation. Okay, it's not I can tell you right now, from the Department of Homeland Security and for Homeland Security investigations, it's not going to be our priority to run and pick up somebody, they put a non-citizen to come and arrest them under the guise of a potential human trafficking victim. Our concentration is going to be to address the human trafficking issue, and our priority is going to be to bring to justice that criminal organization that's taking advantage of that person. That's our priority. And to make the victim feel safe.
Thank you, Mo. I just wanted one more which feedback from you, Mo. Like when this gentleman called me, I was thinking that isn't it a felony for anyone to threaten anyone, even on the phone or verbally also? Isn't it a felony or a crime just to threaten with life, death, or I'll kill your family back? Isn't it a threat or it's a crime?
Yeah. So under Homeland Security, we don't investigate those types of crimes. Those are elements, but that's when we bring in partners, right? That's when we have our partners and we have coalitions with our state and local partners who enforce those types of laws. I can't speak specifically to whether that's a felony or a threat under what statute, because under the federal statutes that Homeland Security has the authority, we don't investigate that. We certainly consider that, but we work with our agencies, our federal partners and our state partners who can prosecute that. Now, again, from what I know, can it be a prosecutable offense? Absolutely, possibly under state statutes or under another statute. It might be an enhancement statute under federal statutes. So with that specific crime, it's difficult for me to give you a specific answer on that. But that, again, that's why we work a lot with our other partners in task forces, so that when we do encounter situations like that, we have a team of agencies that can address a variety of crimes, not just the human trafficking, but also the crimes of threats or assault or whatever may be the case.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we have a question from Dr. Lara. She is asking that does Homeland Security offer grant funding to support human trafficking research? Does the website you shared have recent stats available for research purposes?
Yes, great question, Dr. Wilkin. Absolutely, I encourage all to reach out to those stats. We have fact sheets. We have historical fact sheets that can be used for research. Those are numbers that are verified and available, anywhere from statistics to victims to prosecutions. A lot of fantastic information is available. Also, sources for I can't and I apologize, specifically speak towards grants that I know of personally. That's outside of the investigative realm for Homeland Security investigation. But on any of those informational websites, there's a variety of numbers and also options for other agencies or other agencies within Homeland Security that can be reached in order to answer questions on possible grants and funding for research.
Thank you so much, sir, answering that. Sir, before we wind up for today, I would like to ask to Honorable Mo. Sir, can you share some human trafficking case that you have worked on which have impacted your life? As we know that you have many years of decades of experience in the law enforcement, and we also know that you can't share the detail on the public platform. But in general, can you share some case which you worked on? One case.
Um, Sure, and I'll share just a little bit. I'll be a little bit vague on it, but one of the impactful cases for me in human trafficking, of course, is been working with children and with sexual exploitation and trafficking of children, human trafficking and sexual exploitation of children. Um, all those cases with all the investigators, they stay with you right throughout your life. It's
Yes.
the experiences, the tragedy, you know, and the satisfaction of rescuing victims, of bringing people to justice. There was one particular case that I worked many years ago involved forced labor trafficking, and it involved uh, masonry work, construction work, and I remember, one of the primary things for me was most memorable, and I had received that training. And some of the things we concentrate on and we're trained for is to make sure that we don't have the re-victimization, right?
Yes.
People are already a victim, and then have to go through a formal process through law enforcement can re-victimize, and we have to be conscious of that. In a forced labor case that I worked, uh, and it's natural to feel like that. In this case, dealing with the victims which were primarily men, uh, there's a sense of pride, right? There's a sense of humanity, of feeling that need, that they did something wrong, and I have to. What I want to share is the human connection, right? The human connection that I had when I did those cases. Our agents are trained for making sure that we minimize and we try to eliminate that re-victimization. Some of the most difficult cases, of course, for our careers, or at least my career, is identifying the children victims and removing them and putting them safe in a safe environment. It's an incredible journey, but again, it's the satisfaction is, in those cases. What I want to do share in those cases is what it was establishing in the forced labor case was making sure that the victim understand that they are a victim, right? You are a victim, and I'm here to help, right? In any case, so that's what I would share about some of the particular cases that I worked.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, can you share the resources such as the hotline number of Homeland Security or the national hotline number and everything for our audience? Whoever is in US and is being a victim of human trafficking, and if they want to call the Homeland Security hotline number or the Polaris hotline number, can you share the resources with our audience so that they can find it safe to call you?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, is that question for me? I lost a little bit of connection there.
Yes, sir. Honorable Mo. Yes,
Oh,
the question for you. Can you share the hotline number for the Homeland Security?
sure, and if you don't mind putting it up there, do you have it available?
Sure.
Yep. So it's going to be 1-866-347-2423. And we encourage anybody to, I mean, that's what the number's for. Call the
Yes.
number. If you have a question, they're going to redirect you. If they can help you, they're going to help you. If not, they're going to try to redirect you to a different number or a website. But that's what, this numbers are for people to call, to engage, to ask questions, and for us to help, Um, I do, want to cover a couple of things, and I mean one more thing before we conclude with our our meeting here today, and reaching out to the public is, yeah, part of the process is education for the public. So I really want the public in general to understand, and potential people who are looking and who might get involved or who find themselves in this situation is what is the objective of these traffickers, right? And we want to analyze this at a strategic level, on a global level, a local level, whatever level we want to analyze it is. What is the objective of human trafficking? And the objective is an economic end, right? If they want a
Yes, of
profit,
course.
it's an economic profit for this transnational criminal organization, this criminal organization. Uh, that's one thing I want to make sure we convey to our public, to whoever's watching us today. Second, too, is human trafficking can occur in any situation, any socioeconomic level. It can occur globally, it can occur locally. There doesn't have to be an international nexus, right? Human trafficking can occur in local areas. It can occur locally in foreign countries. It could occur locally here within the United States. So human trafficking, there is no need for an international boundary. Right? And second is, since labor traffic, or third, I'm sorry, labor trafficking is 80% of the cases that we're looking at, and about 80% of the cases involving human trafficking worldwide, right? So again, labor trafficking, what's the objective? An economic end. And labor trafficking, they're exchanging labor, you're exchanging your work, your efforts, usually to produce a product, to produce some finished labor in exchange for monetary compensation, right? And the regular work and the regular economy, that's what we do. We provide a service and we get paid for our service. We provide a service that ends up producing a product that then is sold, right, and then produces income. So one of the innovative ways that here in the United States, the Department of Homeland Security and Homeland Security investigations, we want people to understand is that we have great initiatives and collaborations with all our other partners, especially Customs and Border Protection, on identifying goods that are being, provided through forced labor and through human trafficking. And that's one of our new initiatives. Is we have to identify these sources and prohibit them from being imported into the United States, or prohibit them from being consumed by the public, because they are a product of human trafficking. They are a product of this heinous crime. So that's one of the areas that we're concentrating this on. Now we're going to identify what's being sold. We're going to identify what's being produced with human trafficking, and we're going to stop it. Our efforts are going to be to stop that.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing that. So, Honorable DCJ, can you share the resources in India? So, whoever is friend or family members are being stuck in the US, Canada, or globally. So, where they can contact in India? You are on mute, sir.
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so I think the number is there on the screen. So friends, please dial that number in India if you need any resource. I think Mo has shared the Homeland Security hotline number. So please take full advantage of this. And I'm very happy for Honorable Mo to share very informative and very inspiring information to the world across and within the US. So thank you very much for joining us, Honorable Mo. And I can all say from a survivor that God bless you, because you are a pure reflection of what I'm doing today. If it was not for law enforcement agencies, I would have not been an survivor advocate. So this is a pure example, friends, that it is the Americans, it is the law enforcement agencies who got me freedom and who got me status. Thank you.
Thank you. So, now I would like to invite Honorable Dennis on stage again.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I would like to tell our audience that without Honorable Dennis, this event hasn't been possible. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this event. And I would like to ask that what is your take on human trafficking, and what is the message that you want to give our audience today?
You're asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I first I want to say you're welcome. It was an honor for Mo and myself to be on the show and to get that message out there. And my my message is pretty much echoing everything that Special Agent Mo Gonzalez has said. This is a heinous crime, and it is Homeland Security investigations. It's our job to combat it. And as Mo said, the number one the number one message we want to send is you are a victim, and you deserve to feel safe, and that is what Homeland Security Investigations is here to do, is to help that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Honorable Harold, any last message for our audience?
Nothing. I just very thankful to Honorable Mo Gonzalez for Dennis for organizing this event, and which is very empowering. So thank you very much,
Thank you.
Honorable Mo.
Honorable Mu, any last message for our audience?
Yes, thank you very much. So first of all, to communicate to all our public that, I personally am very thankful to Mr. Oval, to Mr. D'Souza, to Denise, to all our nonprofit organizations like Eyes Open International. Without you, these types of engagement wouldn't be possible. We thank you for your confidence and your trust, Mr. D'Souza, in inviting me. I'm very honored. I personally shared your story already several times. It's very inspirational and motivating. I mean, you, Mr. D'Souza and Raval, you guys are the key. I mean, you are the ones that deserve, the accolades and the efforts. Because Mr. D'Souza, I can't start to explain, or even think of the process and everything you went through, and to share that, to be able to open that and share that as a victim is extremely important. And I can't thank you enough. I want to continue to share that our position as Homeland Security Investigations, Department of Homeland Security, we are dedicated to eradicating this heinous crime. That is one of our investigative priorities. For me personally, it's very close. I can tell you that for many of us who do this job, it's part of what we want to do. It's not just a job; it's what we want to do. We continue to engage with our nonprofit organizations. We continue to engage with our foreign governments. We have consistent delegations that we host through the Center of Combating Human Trafficking from Foreign Nations. We provide that support to our NGOs. This is a consistent and dedicated effort to eradicate this heinous crime of human trafficking.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would like to end this podcast on one note. So for our Indian audience, please go legally to America. If you think that your friend or family is there, he will give you a job in the gas station or something, but they are the ones who will exploit you because you won't trust anybody another than your friends or families. So they will take advantage of it and they will exploit you. You can't uh, admit your kids in the school on your name. You can't go to grocery shopping. You can't do anything. You can't drive a car. What's the meaning of their life? So please go legally. Legally going USA is heaven, but illegally is hell. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
God
Thank
bless
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all.